Yo, Big C in the house. You know the name. Finn Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Marino the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Finn Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Finn Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it aqua tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression.
What up, Finn fans? Welcome to another episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I am your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How is everyone doing this lovely Monday morning? Big snowstorm, big weather, dangerous weather hitting the country this time. I hope everyone's safe. A lot of people without power across the country. Stay warm, stay safe. Hope all is well in your neck of the woods. But yeah, we didn't get quite as much as what they were acting. They were acting like we was going to get 2 foot. I probably got 6 inches outside, but it is what it is. Like I said, I hope everybody's safe wherever you're located. A lot of people without power. A lot of people, they're talking about a week or more without power, and that's just crazy. I couldn't imagine not having power for a week. You know what I mean? It's freezing cold outside. You got no heat, no electric, no nothing. That'd just be a terrible situation. But yeah, we had a couple of football games yesterday. The Miami Dolphins have a new offensive coordinator. We're going to talk about all of that. So let's get to it. Who's all up in the chat this morning? Marcos, good morning. Good morning. JD, what up? What up? Hot dog, what up? Man. What did you guys think of yesterday's playoff games? You know, I went into yesterday thinking that the New England Patriots were getting gifted a Super Bowl berth, you know, because we all know Bo Nix went down with that ankle injury. I'm not a Bo Nix fan, but I felt terrible for the guy. You work all year to get to this point. You put yourself in a favorable position to get to the Super Bowl, and then you break your ankle the last play of the game. That's just bad luck if I've ever heard of it. But yesterday's game, man, Denver started out, they scored the first touchdown yesterday. They took the lead. They had an opportunity And, Sean Payton is going to be criticized about it, second guessed about it. But they decided to go for it on 4th and short instead of kick a field goal that would have put them up 10-0. They go for it. New England stops them. Bo Nix didn't have, not Bo Nix. Jared Stidham did all right considering he's a backup quarterback with not a lot of experience, considering the weathering conditions, considering the situation of the game. This is an AFC championship game that you're getting thrust into, and I thought he performed decently. Drake May didn't have that great of a game, in my opinion. He did most of his damage with his legs. Had a couple big throws. New England Patriots back to the Super Bowl. They win this game 10-7. The weather turned in the middle of the third quarter. It became more of like blizzard conditions, so it was hard for either team to move the football. And, Mike Vrabel, you can't say enough about the job he's done there with New England. They get back to the Super Bowl after a horrible season last year. Would they have 4 wins, a top 5 draft pick, and now they're back in the Super Bowl, reminiscent of the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick years. So great job by them. But New England being back in the Super Bowl does have me second guessing the decisions of Stephen Ross yet again. And I'm going to get back into that in a minute. In the NFC, a very, very good game. You had division rivals going at it. You had the Rams, who I felt like were, for a lot of the year, I felt like the Rams were going to make it to the Super Bowl. For a lot of the year, I thought Matthew Stafford was absolutely going to carry this team to the Super Bowl. I thought they were talented all around. But Seattle kept winning, and Sam Darnold kept winning. And I've never been a Sam Darnold guy. I had little belief in him. Last year, he had a great year with Minnesota and then got to the playoffs and straight blew it. So I was waiting for that to happen. That did not happen this year. Sam Darnold has proven that he is a reliable, good NFL quarterback. Sam Darnold has killed all the criticism from me. Seattle has proven that they're probably the best team in the NFL. And I think the Patriots are going to have a real tough time beating Seattle in the Super Bowl. But this game was a low-scoring game in the first half, and then the third quarter, both teams just took off. You couldn't stop either one. Sam Darnold was able to match Matthew Stafford pass for pass, play for play. Hold on. Let me get. Sorry, hopefully that fixed the mic. Hopefully that fixes the mic. Is that better? But yeah, I feel like Seattle, they did a great job. They were able to pull it out. What a great game. I did win some money on it. I lost some money too. I made a bet in the second quarter, right, on FanDuel. I made a bet in the second quarter. I think the score was 17-10. 17-10. So I was like, all right, that's 27 points. My bet included that they wouldn't go over 50. 50.5. 50.5. Well, they exploded in the third quarter. Next time I look at the game, it's 31-20. I've already lost that bet. That's the only thing I lost on that bet for $3,000 was that over 50.5 points. And to be real, if I would have took that part of the bet off, I would have won 2,600 probably still. That's just me being greedy. But I ended up winning $417 on the bet yesterday, which I'm very pleased about. But leaving that $3,000 on the table was definitely heartbreaking. But yeah, who do you guys like in the Super Bowl? I actually kind of think this is kind of a boring Super Bowl in my opinion, a little bit. Um, not too. The names aren't flashy, but it should be a good game. It should be a good game. Do I think the Patriots are necessarily the best team in the AFC? No, I don't. I think the Patriots were gifted an easy schedule this year. I think the Patriots got lucky that Bo Nix went down. I think if Bo Nix plays yesterday, New England doesn't win that game. I don't think New England wins that game if Bo Nix plays. And that's not me being a hater. That's not me being a hater. But everything that, like I said, Drake May, the most where he did the most damage yesterday was with his feet on the ground. And I think Bo Nix would have been able to do the same thing for the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix is a very mobile quarterback, and I think he would have been able to match Drake May as far as running ability and making plays on the ground. So I think Denver would have ended up winning that game. But, I can't hate on New England. What they did this year was absolutely remarkable. You go from second to last in your division, a top 5 draft pick, firing your head coach to a Super Bowl. And that's exactly what we'd like for our Miami Dolphins, right? That'd be the perfect scenario for our Miami Dolphins, right? A 1-year turnaround, a 1-year just fix it. But the Miami Dolphins haven't gone about revamping this football team the way that the New England Patriots have. We're not going about our rebuild of our franchise the way the New England Patriots have. And it starts with the hiring of the head coach. It starts with the hiring of the head coach. And I'm going to give Coach Half an opportunity to prove himself. But you can't make me believe that hiring a coach with experience, a proven head coach that knows how to do the job, a proven winner, wouldn't have been the best route to go for the Miami Dolphins. Now, Coach Half might turn out to be an all-time great head coach. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know what we have. But the New England Patriots knew what they had when they hired Mike Vrabel. The New England Patriots knew what they had when they hired Mike Vrabel. They had a proven playoff caliber head coach, capable of getting your team to the Super Bowl, capable of rebuilding this franchise. And the Miami Dolphins missed the bus on that. The Miami Dolphins missed the bus on that. And that has me critical of the hiring. And I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm going to give the guy an opportunity. Don't get me wrong. And I hope nothing but great things for him. But the Patriots proved that going in that direction will lead you to Super Bowls. Super Bowl, at least a Super Bowl appearance. And who knows, maybe a Super Bowl victory. Patriots signed a lot of 1-year free agents and hit on all of them. That's another thing. Though, is that Sully and Coach Half believe through building through the draft more than spending your money in free agency. So you got to believe that they're not going to go and spend $150 million in free agency. And I know that we're stricken with we're in cap hell right now, but next year we're going to have a shit ton of cap space. Next year we're going to have a bunch of cap space. So are they going to spend that money and bring in $150 million worth of free agents to help push this rebuild along? Or are they going to sit on that money and make it available to the players that are eventually going to need contract extensions? And I'm not against doing that, but I want to get to the show sooner rather than later. So if we got $150 million in cap room, and it means we can go to a Super Bowl if we go and get this guy to go along with what we have. Listen, I think that's the move you got to make. But on the Miami Dolphins news, the Miami Dolphins have a new offensive coordinator, and it's a familiar name. It's a familiar name, right? Bobby Slowick, the passing game assistant coordinator, or whatever his job title was with the Miami Dolphins last year. Uh, this move is a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher for me. Again, Bobby Slowick doesn't have a ton of experience in this position. He doesn't have a ton of experience in this position. But again, I told you we weren't going to get no big name free agent offensive coordinators. We weren't going to get those big names. We weren't going to get the big name offensive coordinators to come in here for a first time head coach, especially with the condition that our franchise is in right now. We're not a franchise on the up and up. We're a franchise that hasn't hit rock bottom yet. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You know, we won, what did we win, 7 games this year? We're going to win maybe half that next year. We're going to win half that next year if we're lucky. In my opinion. In my opinion. So who is Bobby Slowick? Bobby Slowick started his coaching career with the Washington Redskins in the 2011 season under Mike Shanahan. He held that position through the 2013 season. He was a defensive assistant. Then he took a job with Pro Football Focus as an analyst. His next coaching experience came with the San Francisco 49ers. He joined the defensive quality control coach under Coach Kyle Shanahan in 2017 and 2018. And for the 2019 and 2020 NFL seasons, he eventually moved to the offensive side of the ball. So this guy's only been coaching offense for the last 5 years. He was a defensive side of the ball coach, and he only moved over to the offensive side of the ball in 2020. Did that till 2020. In 2021, upon the departure of offensive passing game coordinator Mike LaFleur, Slowick took on the new responsibility as offensive passing game specialist. In 2022, Slowick was promoted to offensive passing game coordinator. He then took a job with the Houston Texans. He had a really good year with CJ Stroud, CJ Stroud's rookie year. CJ Stroud had 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, looked like he was going to be the next big name quarterback. Then they had a down year the next year. Whether you want to take that into being the sophomore slump or whatnot, CJ Stroud had a down year in 2000, the very next year. And then the Miami Dolphins bring him aboard on February 2025. The Miami Dolphins hired Slowick to serve as the team's senior passing game coordinator. Senior passing game coordinator. So this guy, Bobby Slowick, has never been an offensive coordinator. He's been more of a position coach. He's only been on the offensive side of the ball for the last 5 years. And this is who we're entrusting to call plays for the Miami Dolphins. We have a defensive-minded head coach. So we're putting all our faith in Bobby Slowick, who has never held this position before. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. A first-time offensive coordinator who has minimum experience even on the offensive side of the ball. And it's not like he was a quarterback's coach or, you know what I mean? This is the direction we're going in. Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick, that's the guy that's gonna call our offensive plays this year. And again, if this was just a year where, you know, we're rebuilding and doing, if this was just a year where it's a rebuild and, you know, we don't expect to win a lot of games, it's just getting the salary cap under control, getting the roster under control. What is the sense of forcing the hire of Coach Half this year? Again, you're not going to make me believe that hiring a coach that is unproven is a smarter move. And we've done it before. Stephen Ross, that's the Stephen Ross special right there. Hiring coordinators who have no prior head coaching experience. Why didn't we try something different this time? Why didn't we go out and get us an experienced coach? Well, first off, the roster's in shambles right now. The salary cap's in shambles right now. So you're very limited in who you could have brought in. You're right. It is a bridge gap to a number one pick, but you could have did that with anybody. Now, I don't think Bobby Slowick is the long-term answer at offensive coordinator. I think Bobby Slowick is just a filler. He's just a jag, just another guy. Bobby Slowick will be fired next year. He will be fired next year, and we will find somebody else to be the offense coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. But I just don't understand why we didn't do that with the head coach. Why didn't we do that with the head coach position? Why didn't we bring in a one-year guy to be the head coach to get us the number one draft pick and then go into next year in a coaching search when we have assets to attract the top coaching candidates like Mike Vrabel, like, you know, coaches of that caliber? I want to share you something with what y'all know him, my good boy, my boy, TD. Let's listen to what TD had to say about the hiring of Bobby Slowick and how it should tie in, to the hiring of Coach Half. The things that TD's about to say, why didn't it apply to the head coaching position too?
Of a sudden, Jeff Hafley's first move is to promote him to an official offensive coordinator.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Well, I'm gonna make it make sense. Somebody said fire Sullivan, fire Hafley. I'm gonna make it make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, don't look too much into this promotion. Here's why. This is a fly-by year. This is a fly-by year.
Again, if it's a fly-by year, why were we in such a hurry to hire the head coach this year when we were at our most vulnerable as a franchise, when we were at the lowest point that we could be, the least attractive option at the dance? We're out there trying to get the head coach of the future. At the very best, we were going to get, you know, the fifth best option at head coach. We weren't in the running for John Harbaugh. We weren't in the running for the Bills coach. We weren't in the running for Kevin Stefanski. We weren't in the running for Mike Vrabel, or not Mike Vrabel, but Mike Tomlin.
I told y'all last week or earlier this week, half of the moves that Halfley makes and not Slowey, I'm saying Slowey. Half of the moves that Halfley makes and Sullivan makes, don't look too far into them because most of these guys are just bridges. Most of these guys are just bridges.
Bridges. That's what we should have hired for the head coach this year. It shouldn't have been a forced situation. And yeah, maybe they really liked Coach Half. Maybe they did. But again, we've went down this boat before. We've went down this stream. We've went down this river. We've went down this direction. When is it time to try something new? Bringing in a guy with some experience, bringing in a guy that is a proven winner. Again, for me, Coach Half doesn't have the most experience neither. He has very minimal head coaching experience. He has very minimal defensive coordinator experience. I just don't like. I like how he came off at his press conference, but press conferences are pre-taped, pre-tele. You know what I mean? He knew exactly what he was going to say when he got up to the mic. He was able to write it down and say the things that he wanted to say. He might have had someone write it for him.
What great offensive coordinator wants to come to Miami with no quarterback stability, no O-line, weapons that you don't even know if they're going to be here? It's just a rebuild.
Just what he said. Just what TD just said. What great offensive coordinator wants to come here with no quarterback, no salary cap, no weapons? Why would any great head coaching candidate want to come here? Why? Why would any great head coaching candidate want to come here? And I don't care that Coach Half was wanted by other teams around the league, like the Raiders or the Titans. So be it. Go ahead, take those jobs. Because we're going to hold out and get a proven winner, a guy that chances are is going to be able to rebuild us, a guy like a Mike Vrabel. We sit there and had a first-class seat to Mike Vrabel doing it with the New England Patriots this year. Yet here we are again, hiring up a coach like a Adam Gase, like a Joe Philbin, like a Mike McDaniel, like you know what I mean? And here we go again down that same path. And I hope Jeff Halfley is the exception.
So you're not going to find a quality offensive coordinator right away to get the job done.
So if you're not going to find a quality offensive coordinator to get the job done, what would make you think that you're going to find a quality head coach with the same roster?
You have to clean this thing up for an offensive coordinator to want to come here. Therefore,
exactly. You got to clean it up. That's why 2027 would have been the better year to go out head coaching searching, because Tua would have been gone. The salary cap would have been fixed. We would have had a top 5 draft pick in this year's draft. And guess what? That would have fixed things. That would have made us attractive to potential head coaching candidates. The same thing he's saying about offensive coordinators, it's the same thing with a head coach.
Or we're not going to be stupid. Who's in the ranks? Oh, let's go ahead. Hey, let's promote one of these guys. Who's Bobby Slowey? Let's promote him. Let's make him an offensive coordinator. He got experience. He's been it before in Houston. Let's make him the offensive coordinator. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Slowick might only be the offensive coordinator for a year or two max, unless he absolutely does some miraculous stuff and says, wow, then he would have earned to stay. But this is a guy who has the experience. It may have not have been all flowers, but you know what? Right now, we're just trying to survive. Promote the man. It ain't going to cost us much. Give him a nice promotion. And let's go ahead and keep this thing moving. We probably tank it anyway.
And there you have it. We're probably I would have hired the guy to be the head coach. At that point, I would have hired Slowick to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. A cheap option. We're tanking anyway. We would have put us in a fantastic position to get whatever head coach is available next year. I keep telling you, if the Kansas City Chiefs don't perform the way that they're supposed to, look for Andy Reid to eventually try to find his way to a warmer weather climate. He's coached his whole year in the cold. He's getting older. Andy Reid may be available. Mike Tomlin, most certainly, he'll be ready to come back and coach next year. Again, it's who Sully wanted. Sully was blinded by it to a point. You can't tell me he was going to favor Coach Half regardless. Again, what made you so eager to hire Coach or GM Sully? What made you so eager to hire Sully this year? But Bonnie, it makes sense. It don't make sense. Bonnie, I love the Miami Dolphins just as much as anybody, but we can't be blinded by our loyalty. Far too often as Dolphins fans, we're blinded by our loyalty and we want to believe that things are going to turn out right. Well, guess what? This team hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 1985. We haven't won a playoff game in 25 plus years. Things aren't turning out right. Things haven't turned out right going the way that they've been going. So, yeah, you can have faith and blind hopium. You can have this hopium. But we got to, at some point, keep it real with ourselves. At some time, we got to keep it real. Again, Sully was regarded. There was other names out there that were just as highly regarded as Sully. There's people out there just as highly regarded as Sully. I really don't believe that Sully is a once in a lifetime GM that you had to jump on right now. I just don't, you know what I mean? Not to mention, if you want your opportunity to go out and get a big name head coach, they're going to want one of their guys. They're going to want one of their guys. I hope that I'm wrong about this, folks, but man, we're sitting here watching the New England Patriots go to another Super Bowl, doing it the way that Robert Kraft has done it. Robert Kraft makes smart moves. He goes out and fires coaches after 1 year if they don't meet the standards. Former players that help win him Super Bowls, fires them. He got rid of the coach. He got rid of Belichick. You know what I mean? Like, we got to, at some point, things got to change. Why are we keep going in the same direction, expecting different results? our next great OC was already in the building, and the next great head coach happened to be at Green Bay, where the GM comes from. Questionable moves the last few weeks. I agree, Joe. Like, nobody else wants to see it. Nobody else wants to see that. Oh, it's just a coincidence that the head coach comes exactly from where the GM comes from. And the offensive coordinator position wasn't a coincidence, but that's the exact route they should have went with the head coaching position this year. We weren't an attractive option for head coaching candidates, so why go out and put your hat in the ring to hire a head coach? It's not hopium. There just isn't anything we can do to change it. You have to give them a chance before you write them off. And I'm going to give them a chance. But, Bonnie, if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. If the Dolphins have done the exact same thing 5 times now with Stephen Ross, chances are, while we watch the New England Patriots in another Super Bowl, we're sitting here watching the New England Patriots advance to the Super Bowl, doing it the complete opposite way that the Miami Dolphins are doing it. They didn't bring in a first-time head coach. They went out and spent a shit ton of money in free agency, which you can spend dollars in free agency. You don't have to just build through the draft. You got to make sure you spend your money wisely in free agency. Maybe not go get the highest price guy on the market, but you can spend your money. Joe says these moves feel like they're playing in all in 5 minutes. I agree. I believe we let Troy Aikman in the door. He had a pre-planned situation where he liked our GM Sully. He picked Sully. They hire Sully. Sully already knows who he wants as head coach. They go out. There was no other option. These guys seem like they have more of a backbone over Mike and Greer. And they do seem like they have more of a backbone. They do seem like they're a different version, but that doesn't make them any better or any worse. Well, I mean, Blake, we're watching the New England Patriots back in the Super Bowl, right? Did the New England Patriots just advance to the Super Bowl? And what's the biggest part of that? That they went out and got an experienced head coach, a proving winner at head coach. And then they went and spent their free agent dollars the correct way. Joe, do you not agree that we would have been better off going looking for a head coach next year? That we could have hired a bridge coach this year, or kept Mike McDaniel this year, or promoted Weaver this year, or like I said, promote Bobby Slowick to be the head coach this year. Go out and get us the number 1 pick in the draft. Go get us the number 1 pick in the draft. And then next year, Miller, you're delusional, bro. You sit here and talk about the Patriots. Bobby Slowick isn't a bad hire. He's not a bad hire. He's been coaching the offensive side of the ball for 5 years. That's it. For only 5 years. He's never been an offensive coordinator. He's never called plays. Never, not once. Blake, but the Patriots knew what they were getting in Mike Vrabel. They knew what they were getting in Mike Vrabel. The Miami Dolphins, and like I said, I hope that it doesn't turn out like it has. But it's sad to sit here and watch the New England Patriots advance to a Super Bowl. Advance to a Super Bowl. He was with CJ in Houston. I know he was in Houston. He didn't call plays. He was the offensive coordinator. Oh, he was. Yeah, all right. He did. All right, my fault. You're right. He did. He did call plays for Houston. But they took a dip the second year. That's my fault. He did call plays for Houston. But it's not like Houston's offense was out of control great. I mean, CJ Stroud had a good rookie year, but it was nothing crazy. He threw for 23 touchdowns. 23 touchdowns in this day and age ain't shit. 23 touchdowns in this day and age ain't nothing. That's nothing to write home about. Hopefully the Patriots lose the Super Bowl, try to overspend the offseason, and end up hurting themselves. I mean, I don't think they're hurting themselves. The Patriots only got 5 free agents upcoming this year. The Patriots are going to be good for years to come. I think they do lose this Super Bowl. I think that Seattle is the better team. I think Seattle wins the Super Bowl. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't have a Sam Darnold game. He was a lead analyst for PFF. People at PFF, nobody gives PFF any. Come on, bro. Now you're going to tell me Bobby Slowick, you're delusional. People will believe anything. People will believe anything. Bobby Slowick. They hire Bobby Slowick because Bobby Slowick ain't going to do nothing offensively. Our journeyman was a top offensive candidate for multiple teams. Was he? Come on. Give me a break, bro. Saw that shit somewhere else. Bobby Slowick was a offensive coordinator candidate for multiple teams. So let him go somewhere else. No, Cliff Kingsbury, Brian Dable, those are top offensive coordinator candidates. Mike McDaniel, that's a top offensive coordinator candidate. Not the passing game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, which our passing game was absolutely horrible last year. It was Bobby Slowick is not a hot commodity. And there's no proof that Half would have been hired by Tennessee or the Raiders. Was he an option? Sure. But the hot names on the market were Stefanski, Harbaugh. Those were the top. They were the top guys on the market. Yeah, I seen he was the offensive coordinator. I took that back. That was my fault. He was the offensive coordinator for the Texans 2 years. But they definitely took a step back. CJ Stroud's second year. You can blame that on CJ or you can, you know what I mean? A hot commodity. Mike Tomlin's going to be a hot commodity next year. Was he a candidate? Yeah. Was he a guy that people wanted to bring in for an interview? Yeah. Was he a guy that they could have been impressed with? Yes. But again, the whole fact that I knew that they were going to hire Coach Half before they even hired him is the issue. It was set up all along. From the day we hired Sully, everybody knew that Coach Half was going to be here. You knew he was going to hire his guy from Green Bay. And that's my problem. But it is what it is. It's just sad to see the New England Patriots back in the Super Bowl, and I guess that makes me, Miller, we would have been on the top of that list if we waited just one more year. We would have got an in-person interview with John Harbaugh next year. And I understand John Harbaugh is not going to be available next year, but who knows who is going to be? Again, maybe Andy Reid's available next year. It shouldn't work though, Bonnie. It shouldn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. So you're okay with half, but you were told us about the Patriots because the Patriots hired an experienced, proven winning head coach. So which way do you like? Which way do you prefer? Because the Patriots, I told you about the Patriots because of Vrabel. Well, Vrabel's a proven head coach with winning experience. Yeah, he took him to the Super Bowl. Again, I think they got lucky along the way, but I don't want to take anything away from them. That was a good buddy move to me, bro. I mean, yeah, it's a good buddy move. It's a good buddy move. He was a hell of a friend for that. He was a hell of a friend for that. And I'm sure he, him being familiar with Coach Half helps him, makes him feel safer because he knows how Coach Half, he's more familiar with Coach Half. He knows Coach Half better than he knows the other candidates. And sometimes that gives you a level of comfortability. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. What it is. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm going to give the guy every opportunity to prove me wrong. But man, oh man, to watch the New England Patriots just do it so quickly, it really ignites a fire inside me, right? But you said he was proven, right? You said he had a level of success, that he was a proven winner, didn't you? And Bonnie, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. Again, you cannot tell me that the best GM candidate also produced the best head coaching candidate. You can't tell me that. There is not that many coincidences in life. There was a better candidate out there somewhere. I understand he was more comfortable, this, that, and the third, but you cannot tell me that the two best candidates to run this franchise both came from the same team. It's not real. But we're going to give him an opportunity. Bobby Slowick, I don't believe will be there more than this year. Hopefully, we can attract some kind of top name offensive coordinator. I think it's a mistake if we fire Weaver. If Weaver can find a job somewhere else, we would get a draft capital, right? So I wouldn't fire Weaver. Obviously, Weaver's he's not gonna be here. Is that a demotion since he's not calling plays? So if he was allowed to call plays somewhere else, is that a promotion? I don't know how that works. Weaver, that's another, Coach Half, yeah, he was sought after. People wanted to bring him in for interviews. But Weaver was brought in for multiple interviews. Weaver was a hot name around the NFL. Yet Weaver still doesn't have a job. Bobby Slowick he's a fall guy. He's a fall guy. You got to call it how it is. You can't tell me that Coach Half it would have been beneficial for him to bring in an offensive coordinator with some head coaching experience to make his job easier. Again, Bobby Slowick has only coached the offensive side of the ball for 5 years. For 5 years. He was on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, 2 of those years were as offensive coordinators. Everything else is, So you got to understand my skepticism. You got to understand me being skeptical of the situation. And I've been hurt before. I've been hurt. Well, I don't think he's going to use Mike McDaniel's offensive scheme. Do you think he is? I would love them to keep running the football the way they were last year. Brunskill in the backfield. That was our bread and butter last year. Achane was able to put points on the board. We did a fantastic job in the run game last year. If Bobby Slowick can continue that, that'd be great. Hopefully he doesn't go in and change too much as far as the running game's concerned. And maybe Coach Half is looking at that and he's saying, hey, can you continue to run the ball like you did last year? And maybe Bobby Slowick saying, yeah, we can. So that'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the sickness, 2 weeks strong on the sickness. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I hope that we don't win a ton of games this year, because I think it'll be beneficial to the franchise to have a top pick in 2027 so we can get our quarterback of the future. So, I would love us to come out and, be in the playoff race this year, but in the long run, that hurts us. In the long run, that hurts us. So I feel torn. Again, I would love to be in the playoff race next year, but at the same time, winning 2 games benefits this franchise for the next decade more so than one meaningless playoff run. I mean, it wasn't a huge improvement. Quinn Ewers played all right. I wouldn't say that it was crazy good or anything like that. But the run game was very good last year. But it is what it is. We got our offensive coordinator. We got a defensive coordinator. Things are starting to come together. Again, the press conference was very impressive from both Coach Half and Sully. Both guys, I want to believe what they're saying. They sound like they're rah-rah guys. You know what I mean? Guys that would walk through a wall for you. And, until they prove, until they show me they can't, they can. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have faith that they turn things around, that they can build a winning a winning franchise here in Miami. But it is hard to watch the New England Patriots, go about it the way that I wish we went about it, and then to have success. You know what I mean? Because the New England Patriots went about it the exact way that I wanted to. You know what I mean? They went about it. They went their rebuild the exact way I wanted us to go about our rebuild. So to watch them in the Super Bowl, it is a little bit much for me. You know what I mean? It does give me, you know what I mean? It does get at me a little bit. But it is what it is. Coach Half, I hope great things for him. Sully, both these guys seem like they're going to be very hard workers, that they're going to do everything possible to bring a winner to Miami. We'll see. Time will tell. And I'm going to give them my love and support 100%. No questions asked. I'm a Dolphin fan through and through, and I want a winner here. I don't want to be right. I want to be winner. I want to be a winner. I could care less about being right on this channel. I care about being a winner. I care about wearing my gear with pride in the streets and not having all these Bills fans throw rocks at me. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. We're going to start digging into this draft. The roster, the salary cap, all those things are very important questions that need answers. Coach Half and our GM Sully just got here. I'm sure we'll learn more about the way they want to go about conducting business, and we'll be able to learn more from that. Because right now we have no idea what they're trying to do. Right? This is the first time here. Are they going to try to go and get massive guys on the offense and defensive line? Or who are they comfortable with keeping? Who do they want to get rid of? What kind of players do they like? What kind of players do they dislike? We got a lot of questions to answer. Well, yeah, you got definitely a GM. Mike McDaniel, I think, again, it may be an unpopular opinion, but Mike McDaniel, in my opinion, is going to be a successful head coach somewhere. He's going to be a successful head coach somewhere. That's my opinion. Chris Greer absolutely needed to go 100%. He got too cocky, too comfortable in his position. He felt like he could make any move he wanted to make, and there was no consequences for it. Achane is getting traded. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Why would you trade him? You're getting limited value. You're not getting a first-round pick for Achane, so why would you trade him? The only way trading Achane makes any type of sense is getting a first-round draft pick. You do not trade Achane for a second-round pick. No way. He does too much. When does the fire sale begin, Big C? What fire sale? What fire sale can you have? You got limited options. Maybe you trade Fitzpatrick, Zach Sealer. Who can you really trade? Yeah, Waddle. He did forget Waddle's name was on accident or on purpose. You're not going to pay Achane $20+ million. He's a running back. These guys said you need to retain your own guys. So the first contract that becomes available, you don't retain. That's your big thing. We got to retain our own guys. So the first guy that becomes available for a new contract, you don't retain him. And he's more than just a running back. The guy catches a bunch of passes out the backfield. He's a weapon. He's an X factor. He's a weapon. He's not just a running back. Anthony, I think Mike McDaniel will he'll do great over there. I believe he will. I think he's going to do wonders for Justin Herbert's career. The type of running back Devin is doesn't really fit what Green Bay likes. They like bigger body. Again, at some point you make adjustments. They hire Bobby Slowick as the offensive coordinator. Yeah, it don't make sense. It don't make sense to trade HN. The value's not there. If you're getting a first round pick, then maybe I see it. You know what I mean? But no, why? If you trade him for a second round pick, that's stupid as shit. Stupid. And then if teams know you don't want to re-sign him and that you're forcing a trade, they're gonna lowball you. So you get a late second, maybe a third round pick at best. No way. Give the guy his money. He deserves it. He deserves it. He was one of the top playmakers in all of football last year. You're already losing Tyreek. He's the only thing that made us anywhere near relevant last year. You trade Waddle. Trade Fitzpatrick. Trade Zach Sealer if you can. Aaron Brewer possibly. Because they're going to go in a different direction as far as offensive line. They do like bigger, more physical offensive linemen. Why isn't he worth a first-round draft pick? He's one of the top playmakers in all of football. He catches half the passes that a receiver one does and gives you 1,400 yards on the ground and 15 touchdowns if used correctly. So if you can get a first-round pick for a wide receiver who maybe catches 100 passes for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns, why wouldn't you get a first-round draft pick for a running back who gives you 1,400 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, and then gives you another 50 catches for 500 yards and 4 more touchdowns? I disagree, Miller. How old's Achane? How old's Devon Achane right now? How old is Devon Achane? He's 24 years old. He's 24. So he's not gonna be in his prime in 2 years. He'll be 26 years old in 2 years. He's not going to be in his prime. Okay, so you load the back end of the contract. He's 24 years old. He's still going to be in his prime in 2 years. And if this rebuild is taking 3, 4, 5 years, we hired the wrong guy. Because the Patriots went from 4 wins to Super Bowl. I mean, I think a Derrick Henry or Ezekiel Elliott probably, Achane doesn't take a lot of big hits. Derrick Henry's taking multiple hits a carry. Ezekiel Elliott was getting plowed by 3, 4 dudes. A lot of Achane's tackles are, guys catching them from behind. I think Ezekiel Elliott and Derrick Henry take more of a beating than Achane does. Yeah, Achane's undersized, but Jay Ajayi was injured when he got here. Jay Ajayi didn't have any knees when he got here. His knees were shot in college. You can't compare him to Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi was already had bad knees when he was drafted. That's not even a good comparison. That's a terrible comparison. Terrible comparison. Yes, I'd be furious if we drafted him. Running back is not a need. Why would you take a running back in the top 11 picks? Why? We have so many needs, and we're going to take a position that maybe the least need of all. I mean, you have Jalen Wright, you have Ollie Gordon. I don't think Ollie or Jalen Wright are the greatest, but they're serviceable. If he's the best player available, there's a player that is going to be available in a position of need for us that would make more sense. There's got to be a corner. There's got to be a lineman. There's got to be a safety, a linebacker, a pass rusher. There's got to be one of those positions available. But Ajayi was injury prone back. He was already on. They were surprised Ajayi was even doing the things he was doing with those bad knees. That's not true. We let him walk more so because of his knees. We missed on the Bears tight end. I don't think so. I think Kenneth Grant will be fine. And I would still take the defensive tackle. I would still take defensive tackle over tight end. Defensive tackle is it's a more important position than tight end. It just is. You don't have to have a great tight end to succeed in the NFL. Look how many random tight ends come out of nowhere to be good tight ends. Look at Strange from Jacksonville. Look at Parkinson. What's his name? Parkinson's from the Rams. He puts up big numbers. You don't need to be a top 10 draft pick to put up big numbers as a tight end. Mark Andrews wasn't a top 10 pick. Travis Kelce wasn't a top 10 pick. Colston Loveland's not going to be that much better than somebody else. I like Greg Dulcich too. I like Greg Dulcich. Greg Dulcich catches the goddamn football. He does. If you give him the opportunity and put the ball in his hands, he catches the football. Big C, how can we continue to pay the man? He deserves it when we see the Patriots get random guys, players. We should try to get as much as possible for HN. I disagree. How do you hire guys that say they're about signing their own and not signing free agents, and then you let your prize free agent walk out the room, walk out the building? So the only reason the Bears made the playoffs because of Loveland? I mean, the Patriots turned it around in 1 year, right? I mean, if rebuilds take more than in a rebuild, you should be able to compete in the third year. The third year, Devon Achane will be 27 years old. In the third year, Devon Achane will be 27 years old. None of the players are theirs. They were here when they came. I understand that. I understand that, but these are their players now. Quarterback or edge in the first 2 picks. Again, I gotta investigate more, Anthony. I gotta start really busting out this draft and watching the tape. Yeah, you keep Dulich and you find yourself another tight end. They went from a 4-win team to a Super Bowl once they got the head coaching right. They went and got the right head coach. Drake May won 4 games last year. I mean, you got to be able to, you obviously got to hit on your picks. You do. Or there'll be a new coach here. We won't be talking about Coach Half. We won't be talking about Sully possibly. Okay, so if we're talking about this coaching regime, though, this coaching regime, why they should trade Achane. They shouldn't trade Achane. Hopefully they get it right. I mean, obviously all things are off the table if they get it wrong. But they're not going to go into this rebuild thinking, we're not going to be here, so we got to make these trades for the next coaching regime. Thank you, Miss Fins. Make sure you go check out Miss Fins' channel. She got the great content over there. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways. And listen, I'm not going to say anybody's wrong for wanting to trade Achane. I just personally want it. I get where you're coming from. I do. It don't make sense when you're in the middle of a rebuild to go pay an undersized running back $20 million. I get it. You should get the draft capital, draft young guy. I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong for that. And I'm not saying that's a bad decision to do. It's just not something that I would do. And that's okay. We can have different opinions. We can, the way you rebuild the team and the way I rebuild the team would be different. Like you guys are okay with clearing Coach Half. Me, I would have went through it and I would have just sucked it up this year. I would have guaranteed I had the first overall pick next year. You guys wanted to get your general manager and head coach this year. I would have waited a year to hire my head coach when we looked more attractive to possible suitors. So it's all right to have different ways about going. The important thing is that we all want the same thing, and we all want a winner. You know what I mean? We all want to have a winning franchise that we can be proud of, and hopefully we can get there. I mean, they're not attached to Devon Achane, but you want to piss off the fan base, go ahead and trade them, because I think a lot of the fan base would be very upset. Miss Finn says, "Yes, I want a Super Bowl. I don't care who can get me there." Laugh out loud. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I don't care. Listen, at one point, I was willing to side Tom freaking Brady, and that's a guy that I've wished bad things to happen to him. I wish bad things to happen to Tom Brady, but at one point I was so desperate for a Super Bowl victory that I was on board with bringing Tom Brady here. And I know that that's sacrificial. You know what I mean? I know that is beyond how dare you, Big C, how dare you? But I was to the point where I didn't give a shit. I wanted a Super Bowl. I wanted playoff victories that I was willing to sell my soul to the devil himself. That's how desperate I've became at times. You know what I mean? So I get it. And we all want the best. We all hope for great things. Again, there's different ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Is that how you say it? Skin a cat? Skin a rabbit? Why would you skin a cat? I don't know. Maybe that's not the do you say skin a cat? Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. You and a ton of people were willing to get Tom for that. Laugh out loud. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not proud of myself for it. But I sure enough did. Big O put it out in perspective for us. Patriots have 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 wins since we last won one. Yeah, that's crazy. Miss Finn says, yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Laugh out loud. I don't get it either. Laugh. Yeah, I mean, that's weird. Why would you skin a cat? I'm sure, listen, I'm sure that we will, we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of things to figure out. Me and Miss Finn's got to get back on it. That we had a great show going. That was my bad. I just had some things come up that, I had to deal with. But me and Miss Finn's had a great show, DMZ. Hopefully we can get that back going up here rather quickly, shortly, or figure out another way to collaborate and get our thoughts together and bring you some content. But we got a lot of work to do, folks. We got salary cap to figure out. We got, like we said, we don't know what type of players coach or GM Sully want. We're having a debate about HN. HN's a great player. I think we can all agree, but do they like a bigger back? Do they like a more physical back? Do they, you know what I mean? Like maybe HN's just not their type of player. X is probably. But yeah, a lot of things to figure out, but we'll be here, me, myself, Miss Finn's, TD, all your favorite content creators. You show love to everybody. We all deserve it. We all work hard. We all have different opinions, and it is what it is. But I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about something Miami Dolphins related. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, and go Fins. Hopefully the Patriots lose the Super Bowl. You never cheer for your division rival in the Super Bowl. Never, ever, ever, ever. I do think the Seahawks are the better team, if you want my opinion. That's not me just hating. I think Seattle's the better team. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't turn back into a pumpkin. But I got to give the guy the credit. He's played so well. He's played well so far these playoffs. So hopefully he's got one more good game in him and he can knock off Patriots. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. You know what it is. Fins up. Peace.
Yo. Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Moving the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Fin Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse, we the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it aqua tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.